Well, hello, you crazy kids. Welcome back to Bun in the Oven, where I'm going to talk about how my pee reacts with like various substances. Because today is the old wives' tales gender guessing party extravaganza to prepare for the gender reveal party extravaganza. It's coming, it's so soon. You're gonna find out soon, I'm gonna find out soon. We're all so excited. We're having our gender reveal party in just a couple days. So I've actually been trying to magically guess the sex of the baby for like 15 weeks now, if not more. You know, I was this way before I got pregnant. I always felt like I could look at my chart and like there was some way I could find out if I was pregnant, you know, way before I could actually tell. So it makes sense that the crazy would completely continue after I got pregnant. We're really hoping for a boy, and if it's a girl, then we just won't love it as much. Completely kidding. We have no preference one way or the other. We just kind of want to envision our lives like with a son or a daughter and think about names and like buy non-gender neutral clothes. And I am so tired of shaming of women who are interested to learn the sex of their baby. I hear this all the time, like we've been guessing on Facebook and things like that, and people say, all we care about is that the baby's healthy, or like, I'm on team healthy baby. And I'm like, I didn't think that they were related. Like, I really didn't think that it's like, you either get a healthy baby or you get to find out the sex of your baby. Like, what? Like, what? I made an entire video about our anatomy scan. Like, I videoed the whole day, and we weren't finding out the sex at all. All we were finding out was that the baby was human, that the baby was like growing right, and that the baby looked healthy. If you watch the video, you know that I was like overjoyed to learn that the bladder was like in direct proportion to the kidney, and that you can literally count like 10 toes on the shot that the tag got of the little feet. So that's my rant for the day. I just don't think that they're related at all, like not at all. All we're really trying to do is guess one way or the other. Is it a girl? Is it a boy? What does the P say? That's really what it comes down to. I've been doing some old wives' tales, like tests and stuff like that since like I was like 8 weeks pregnant, maybe sooner. Actually, I'm almost positive it was sooner. I actually put together this like huge thread on one of the pregnancy forums that I belong to, where we take like all of the tests and all the old wives' tales and predict the sex of the baby based off of that. And so far we've been pretty accurate. So I wanted to go through a few of mine. I'm gonna explain how each of them works, and you can try them too and see if they're accurate, and we'll find out very shortly, won't we? I actually read that for the educated mother is correct with her intuition about 73% of the time. And my intuition is that it's a boy. I feel, however, like, you know, my husband has always said, oh, you know, if we could just choose, we would have a boy first and then a girl, because she would have an older brother that would protect her and blah, whatever. So that's always been kind of like the vision that we've had. That's just always been kind of the vision that we had. It's hard for me to distinguish between my intuition and what I've kind of influenced myself to believe. So at the beginning, I dreamt all the time that it was a boy. And then as that sort of intuition kind of faded and I wasn't as sure anymore of what I was having, lately my dreams kind of morphed. So they started out with the baby was a boy, but the baby was always like super weird. Like I would give birth to the baby, but then the baby would be like nursing or something, and the baby was like old enough and like jerky enough to like be critiquing like what I was doing. It was really weird, like not happy with that baby. And then I had a couple dreams where the baby was like just a straight up like androgynous like Gerber baby, and I loved this baby. I would just carry it and I was so happy, and I was just like, oh, I just love you. And then lately I've been having dreams where I am surprised to find out it's a girl. I had a dream that my mom doesn't even know. Like in reality, she doesn't know, none of my family knows. But in my dream, my mom knew, and she wasn't really supposed to know, I don't think, but she referred to the baby as she. And I knew that she knew. And I was really upset. I was like, I asked her not to tell me, what is wrong with you? And I had another dream where I went to the anatomy scan, I told the tag, we don't want to know. And she said, oh, it's a girl. And I was like, I'll just uninvite everyone then. But that's really weird. I haven't had a really clear dream where the sex of the baby was evident in a long time, except for finding out that it's a girl, which is, I don't know. So I made this like poster board chalkboard kind of thing and put the options like dreams, boy or girl, and I circled both because I don't know. And then sometimes I feel like it's a girl, but I don't know. So I'm really confused. I did actually catch a very faint glimpse of a potty shot when we were in our anatomy scan. I saw the little legs, but you know, I just like looked back really quickly and then I was like, oh, I don't want to know. You know, the tech was going through that part really quickly because she knew that we didn't want to know. And I swear that either it wasn't visible, I just couldn't see it. Our son has a very small boy part, or it's a girl. I saw something between the legs, but it was huge. It was the cord, you know? And the tech saw that, she said, oh, that's the cord. And I don't know. What I saw was probably not like what she would have printed anyway if I wanted a potty shot. But that being said, like I remember looking at her and being like, that's a girl. Is that a girl? Is that a girl? So it's one of those like 8 options. Probably user error from me. Now we're gonna go on to the urine tests, which are really the most fun because you kind of feel like Bill Nye and you feel like it's super accurate because like there's a chemical reaction. So there's a few different tests in this category and they're all pretty much based off of the pH of your pee. I actually read that a lot of midwives have used the pH of urine in early pregnant women to determine whether they think it's going to be a boy or a girl. The idea is that a lower pH, I think it's like 1 to 6, is a girl result, and a higher, like 7 to 14, I guess, is boy result. So I had some pH strips left over, and you know, people say, oh, that's a stupid test because your pH changes all the time, blah, 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 it's based off of what you eat and blah, 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 but like my diet has changed 40 times since I've been pregnant. And I've tested morning, noon, and night, like, not like I test morning, noon, and night every day, but I've tested all different times of day, all different gestational ages, like starting when I was like 6 weeks, all the way up until like 20 weeks. And I almost always get a 7, which is just barely a boy result. So I guess a boy result is a boy result. But it wasn't, I didn't have like a 12. You could probably like do some damage with that. The baking soda test. The baking soda test I've probably done the most of any because it just requires like some baking soda and you pee on it, and that's really fun. Especially when you're trying to conceive, you pee on sticks all the time. So then once you're pregnant, you just pee like on kitchen items. I haven't actually done it properly. You're supposed to use a fresh box of baking soda, which will prevent positive boy readings. What you do is you take a little bit of baking soda and you like pee on it. I mean, that's really it. You're supposed to use first morning urine, and I think it's more accurate when you're a little bit earlier, but I can't be totally sure. Most of my friends who are having boys have taken this test, you know, a few times later in pregnancy and have gotten a boy result every time. That's not to say that this is super accurate. Up until probably 15 or 16 weeks, I got a girl result. So what that means is that when I like peed on the baking soda, there was no fizz. Like nothing happened basically. It was just like pee on baking soda. And then about after that time, it would fizz like beer. It looked like beer, which is kind of strange. If you're a mean pregnant lady, you can convince your husband that it's a pale ale. But either way, the test was right because at one point I got a girl result and at one point I got a boy result. So either way, it was correct. The salt test. The salt test is similar to the baking soda test. You put like a layer of salt into a little cup and you pee on it. You know, first morning urine, of course. And so if the urine changes color and develops this like cloudy kind of bubbly pattern, then it's supposed to be a, and if the urine stays the same color and has like streaks from the bottom of the glass that immediately disappear, it's pretty specific, then it's a girl. So I don't know, mine created this like weird like jellyfish like part at the top, and it wasn't really cloudy, but it wasn't really bubbly, so I just went with boy result. So this one has actually worked for a lot of friends of mine, as well as the baking soda test, so try it. And then just a couple of days ago, I did the red cabbage test. This is another pH-based test that you get to pee on. So what you do is take like half of a head of red cabbage. It has to be red cabbage, it can't be green, of course. And you chop it up and you mix like 2 cups of chopped red cabbage with 2 cups of boiling water, and you let it sit for like 10 minutes and then strain it out and let it cool. And then you like pee on this red cabbage water, which will be like a dark purple kind of bluey kind of color. I've I've had some trouble finding like a consensus on what the colors mean when you pee on it. So far, what I've determined is that you pee on the cabbage water. Pretty much like 50-50, I guess. And I always use, you know, first morning urine because it's like the most concentrated, you know, except when you're pregnant, you pee like 8 times a night anyway. So I don't know if it's that concentrated, but anyway, so if it turns pink or red, then it's a boy. And if it is purple, then it's a girl. And so I took mine just the other day. This is when I've kind of been putting off because I didn't want to buy red cabbage. And I got a very clear boy result. So now we have the based on the baby test. So there's 2 major tests. We have the Ramsey test and the skull theory test. So the Ramsey test is based off of the research of a doctor named Dr. Ramsey. I think he was in Canada, and he claims that he studied thousands of women, and in early ultrasounds, he could determine the gender based off of which side of the uterus the placenta was attached to. So he said that in, I think it was like 92% of women carrying a boy, the placenta was attached to the right side of the uterus. I think it's just like based off the 8-week ultrasound. It doesn't matter as much when you get a little bit further along. You won't be able to use that ultrasound. He claims that in 92% of women carrying girls, the placenta was attached on the left side of the uterus. I've seen this fail a bunch of times, but you have to remember that you have to flip the picture from the ultrasound if it was abdominal versus whether it was transvaginal. So if it was transvaginal, the side that you're looking at when you look at the picture is the actual side. So if the placenta is attached on the right in the picture and it was a transvaginal, then it's attached to the right in your uterus. And so if you're doing an abdominal, then it would just be reversed. So if you're looking at the abdominal ultrasound and it's attached to the left in the picture, then it's attached to the right in your uterus. Mine was clearly on the right, which would make it a boy result. And I had a transvaginal, so it was like on the right in the picture, on the right in the uterus. But I didn't actually ask the tech at the time, and I wish I had. You know, she may have flipped a picture or something, who knows. So that's another point for boy. And then we have the skull theory, which is based off of the shape of the baby's skull. So the idea is that if it's a flatter, boxier skull, it's like flat up here or at the front, or I don't know, it's just flatter in general, then it's a boy. And if it's much more rounded, then it's a girl. Based on the picture that I show from our anatomy scan, I get 2 completely different opinions. I have 2 pictures from the ultrasound that show like a very rounded skull. And then I have the one picture that I use, like it's the background of my phone, like, you know, put it all over Facebook. And that one looks boxier. It just has, I don't know, maybe it's the angle, I don't know. I get boy sometimes and girl sometimes. They cancel each other out. Now we're getting into more truly old wives' tales. One of my favorites is the ring test. And I thought, oh, this is so ridiculous, like ha ha ha. So what you do is thread your wedding ring on a string, or you can do a piece of hair or whatever, but I just use string. And then you hold it over your belly, and if it goes in a straight line back and forth, then it's a boy, and if it goes in a circle, then it's a girl. I got a boy result every time. Like I did this like probably 15 times and I got a boy result every single time. And so I started kind of like deepening the experiment. So what I would do was hold it over my heart, and it would go in a circle every time, which is weird. Right? I'm a girl, like that's strange. That's a girl result. And then I would hold it over my husband's heart, and it would go in a straight line every time. And he's a boy, obviously. And then I would hold it over our dog, and it would go in a circle every time. And she's a girl. See where I'm going with this? And then I put it over the bed thinking, oh, what sex is the bed? And it didn't move at all. Like, I don't know. And my husband thought I was like doing something somehow, but like eventually he was like, okay, you're not doing anything. This is just most accurate of all. But that was a very clear point for boy. But hasn't been that accurate in the past. So headaches. Claim is that if you have more headaches, then you're having a boy, and if you have, you know, fewer, the same as that you had before you were pregnant, then it's a girl. And this one is actually tremendously accurate. You know, I've done some analytics on the thread that we started with the gender prediction test, And this one is extremely accurate, except reversed. 90% of the women that have taken this test, I would say like 90% of the women who have done this test, it's been inaccurate for, which makes it pretty accurate if you flip the results. I haven't had really any headaches, which would, according to the old wives' tale, be a girl result, but according to our super fancy statistics, would make it a boy result. So I don't know. I'm going with the point for boy. Morning sickness. So the claim is that if you've had a lot of morning sickness, then you're having a girl, and if you didn't have much at all, then you're having a boy. But the issue is that I've actually known several women who had hyperemesis are having boys or had boys. So I really didn't have any, like I could only eat very, very small amounts, and then I would feel sick if I ate like a normal amount. But otherwise I didn't feel sick at all. So that's a boy result. Beauty. So the claim is that if you're pregnant with a girl, then she steals your beauty. What a... And if you're pregnant with a boy, then you'll look better than you did before pregnancy. At least your skin, you like won't have any breakouts, you'll be very clear. I have like an occasional like zit or whatever, nothing major. Since I've gotten pregnant, I haven't had like any. So I'm gonna go with a point for a boy. Where's the bump? So this is a pretty well-known old wives' tale when it comes to gender prediction, and I've had so many people tell me what I'm having based off of where my bump is. So they claim is that if you're carrying very low, then you're having a boy, and if you're carrying very high, then you're having a girl. I am carrying very low, and I've had many people tell me, oh, it's a boy, based off of that, and a couple others that have to do with the bump. So that's an easy point. Boy. Where is the weight? So this is really similar to the height of the bump, old wives' tale. The idea is that if your bump is all out front, kind of like a basketball, then it's a boy, and if it's more spread around your middle, then it's a girl. For the most part, mine is just all out front, which I'm taking as a point for boy. And I actually ask my husband all the time, go far away. Can you tell I'm pregnant from the front? And like, watch me walk away. Do I look pregnant from the back? Like, I'm really obsessed. This is part of why people have told me that they think it's a boy, because I'm carrying a basketball apparently, and basketball is for boys. Are your hands and feet colder than normal? It's a weird one. I don't know. That being said, my hands and feet have been actually much colder than normal. So the idea is that if your hands and feet are colder than normal, you're having a boy, and if they're like moist and warm, and then it's a girl. And I of course got pregnant in like January, so of course they were cold. It's January, and they're cold right now, but it's like 50 degrees outside for some reason. And of course 2 days from now, when we have our gender reveal party, it's gonna be 90. That's a definite point for boy for me. I'm not really used to wearing like socks and stuff all the time and doing like this with my hands, but ever since I've been pregnant, I've been doing that like all the time. So a big chunk of the video that I was doing just completely disappeared, so hence the brand new outfit and less makeup, whatever. Where were we? Sleep position. This is another completely bizarre one. So if you prefer to sleep on your left side, it's a boy, and if you prefer to sleep on your right side, then it's a girl, because that makes a lot of sense. But I don't really know many pregnant women who don't just like toss and turn on it anyway. I mean, like, how many of you literally find a side to sleep on and are just like, I'm good? That being said, I do find that when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm usually sleeping on my left side. So that's another point for boy. What do you crave? Seems like that question warranted a Dr. Phil accent. This is another really popular one. People ask me all the time what I crave, and they determine if it's a boy or a girl based on that. We actually had a waitress last night who asked me the very question, and she looked at my husband and went, oh, it might be a girl. So the wives' tale is if you're craving sweet foods, then it's a girl. And if you're craving salty and savory foods, then it's a boy. And I'm usually like one of those people who I will forego cake for like a cheese plate. Potato chips have always been my total downfall, not donuts, you know? So I just assumed it would get worse in pregnancy, but I have actually craved sweets nonstop. Like, that's all I want to eat. It's definitely a point for girl. Fetal heart rate. So So this is another kind of old school one. I guess all of them are pretty old school. This was actually used by my mom's obstetrician when she was pregnant with me and my sister. And based off our heart rate, the OB said, well, it could be a girl. Of course it could be a girl, it could be a boy too, but that's what he said. So the idea is that if the fetal heart rate is consistently over 140 beats per minute, then it's a girl. And if it's like around or less than 140 beats per minute, it's a boy. So towards the beginning of the pregnancy, the fetal heart rate was always super high, like 160 beats per minute. And then when we had our anatomy scan at like 19 and a half weeks, the heart rate was 141. For most of the time, it's been super high. So that's actually a point for girl. Chinese calendar. I have an issue with this test, but it's based off of the age when you conceived and the month you conceived. And somehow there's a chart that tells you if you're gonna have a boy or a girl. But the issue that I have with this is if this calendar is so accurate, then wouldn't all the women in China just produce boys? You know what I mean? Like follow the calendar. See what I'm saying? That being said, so I get two totally different answers based on lunar age and Gregorian age, I guess. And I can't really explain this calendar thing. I just kind of like type things in and it tells me what the answer is. So I found a website that uses the lunar age and I tested it for a lot of my friends and my mom, and it's almost always right. It was wrong for like one friend of mine. That website actually tells me that I am having a girl. Most of them that just calculate on my like Western age say that I'm having a boy. So no points. Mayan calendar. We may have believed this one a little bit more before like 2012, but this one is based off of whether your age and the year that you conceived are even or odd. How that has to do with X and Y chromosomes, I have no idea. The idea is that you take the year at conception and your age at conception. If both numbers are even or odd, then you're having a girl, and if one is even, and the other is odd, then you're having a boy. Which I guess, I don't know, it's kind of related to chromosomes. Yeah, like two of the same, but like one is X and one is Y. I was 27 when we conceived, and we conceived just barely in 2014. So that is a boy point. Did your spouse gain weight? They don't want to know we're talking about this. But it's seriously a test. So the idea is that if you are having a girl, then your spouse will stay the same weight or gain weight. And if you're having a boy, then they will lose weight. I'm pretty sure my husband has Kuvad syndrome. And he's had some pretty impressive symptoms actually. So I'm just gonna go with girl result. That's all I'm gonna say. So the key test. This is another completely bizarre one. And I actually don't know anyone who's gotten a girl result. So you put a key in front of a pregnant lady, and if they pick up the key by the round end or square end, I guess, then you're having a boy. And if you pick it up by the narrow end, then you're having a girl. But like, who picks up a key by the narrow end? I've literally never seen a girl result on this one. So it was a definite boy point for me, but with great skepticism. Did your chest change? So if there was a dramatic increase in the size of your chest, then you're said to be having a girl. If there was not, then you're said to be having a boy. And honestly, there hadn't been a lot going on up there for me, so that's a boy result for me. As much as I would like it to be a girl result. This is kind of a weird one. So how are your boobs? If your right boob is bigger than your left, or if they're the same size, you're said to be having a boy. And if your left boob is larger, then you're said to be having a girl. So mine are pretty much the same size. Maybe the right one is like a tiny bit bigger, but for me, that's a boy result. How fast is your hair growing? So this is actually, I think, based on the idea that if you're having a boy, you have testosterone in your body, I guess, not a whole lot, but you know, some, and it makes your hair grow faster. So if your hair, like your legs and your head is growing faster than normal, then you're said to be having a boy. And if it's the same rate or slower, then you're said to be having a girl. And I've actually noticed that my leg hair grows like a lot slower. This one has actually been somewhat accurate in our thread. Mine, of course, is a girl result. What color is your pig? Go find out and let me know. Just kidding, you can keep that one to yourself. If your pee is bright yellow, then it's a boy, and if it's dull, you're having a girl. So this one has been inaccurate for like almost all of the girls that have taken the test, which makes it pretty damn accurate if you flip the result. So I'm gonna go with, if your pee is bright yellow, then it's a girl, and if it's dull, then you're having a boy. And so my answer here is dull, which technically is a girl result, but I'm going with boy. Are you moody? Are you moody? Are you moody? Are you moody? Pretty much all pregnant ladies are moody-ish, I guess. But one of the tests is that if you're super moody, then you're said to be having a girl. And if you're just normal, then you're said to be having a boy. And I'm actually not that moody. I'm a little less patient. Random things will make me cry, but I don't really like flip-flop my moods too terribly much. So that's actually a boy result for me. How is your balance? If you're clumsier than normal, you're said to be having a boy. And if you are more graceful, then you're said to be having a girl. I don't know if it's like the fact that I have the shape of a whale as a body or what, but I feel like I'm clumsier than normal. I've been spilling stuff and this is really annoying my husband. So I'm going with a boy result. Do you have a V vein in your left eye? That's an odd one. So if you have a vein like right under there that makes a V in your left eye, then you're said to be having a girl. And if you don't, you're said to be having a boy. So originally, I did not have a vein, which would make it a boy result. But over the last few weeks, starting maybe like 15 weeks, I've totally had the vein, which would make it a girl result. So no points for that one. So here's the final total. So according to the old wives' tales, I am having a boy. I don't know, we'll find out, won't we? I don't really know what to say. The old wives have spoken. I'm having a boy. It's time to find out. I am like incredibly excited. We've just waited so long. It's time to argue about baby names. I am like beyond excited, and I'm just gonna say how excited I am for 30 more seconds while I end this video. I'm excited. Boom, excited. Excited. That's it for today. I know it was a super long video, but there's a bajillion old wives' tales. Take them and let me know what result you get and tell me if it was accurate or inaccurate. I'm just going based off of like the majority of the results. And so far we've been pretty close to accurate. So let me know. I'm so excited to hear from you guys and see which of these is accurate and which is not. And I'll add them to my great list of baby gender old wives tales statistics. Can't wait to share the news with you guys. And I'm gonna share like the decorations and everything that we did for the party. And I hope that you like it, and I can't wait to share it with you. Ooh. Bye. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss the big news, and thumbs up this video because it was super long and full of amazing information. So, I'm excited. Boom, excited.